No matter how long I'm going out in the backcountry for, there's certain things I take on every trip. So everything has to earn its place. You can't get this confused with your cheese. If I was going on a 14-day trip, I'd bring minimum 8 sticks of butter. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I see antlers. I think I need a new toothbrush. I've really spent the last 15 years figuring out the perfect pack setup, and I think I have finally found it. My name is Laura Zara.
Look at my face.
I'm a survival and backcountry specialist.
Don't fall into that trap.
We just got chased down the mountain by a very angry swarm of bees. I have a hard time explaining what I do and what my life looks like, but it's way easier to just show you.
Javelin of another elk to get the ivory out.
It's just not the best spot to be. Learn what it takes to become decivilized. When I first heard about this guy, it changed my life. I would bring in 2 separate packs. One would be to pack in all my gear, and the other one was for day hikes. Now, this thing does everything. It's the F1 mainframe pack from Everly Stock. I have a setup that has a massive dry bag in the middle of 2 smaller bat wings, and basically it just transforms into whatever I need it to be. I can zip things on and off. It's amazing. I usually bring warmer rather than a cooler bag and try to get away with it. Being warm at night, especially when I'm cold all day, is super important. So if there's one thing I really don't skimp on, it's the sleeping bag. This is my sleeping pad. It folds up into nothing. It's actually not big enough for my entire body to fit on. So sometimes I have to put my feet in my pack if it's cold, but it's really lightweight and it's still super comfortable.
Waking up to the wolves howling and snow.
I don't like sleeping in tents. I feel like they give you this weird illusion of security, but everything can get in and you just can't get out. I love tarps, plus it's super lightweight. This weighs almost nothing, packs down really, really small.
Just a straight up cloud.
If it's super buggy, I might take a tent, and if I want my dog to have a place to hang out, I might take a tent, but otherwise, tarp camping for me.
It's freezing cold and raining this morning. So I've just been watching the journey of this worm.
I always bring my own ship bag, so that's in this pile. I also bring a water bladder, but I also bring a water bottle. I bring a stainless steel pot. So I bring this bear hang bag, I put all my food in it, and then rope to hang it up in a tree. My electronics section, solar charger. This thing's super small, it opens up, and I can be out for any amount of time and be able to charge all my stuff on this thing, so. The pack I have, I get these auxiliary straps. If my pack's really big, they can make the straps that are on there longer so that I can really strap everything down in case I find treasures, something like that, that I need to strap onto the pack in addition to what I already have. Clothing, everything I have is very specific. I pretty much wear the same stuff on every trip. The first thing I do when I'm packing is I always put aside the outfit that I'm gonna wear out. That way I know I'm not including that into my count of items that I have. I'm not bringing extra clothes. I have my gaiters, which I have because you know what? It's really nice to have a transitional item in between pants and shorts because I prefer wearing shorts. I pretty much wear the same thing the entire time. Ziploc baggies. There's a lot of them laid out here. I separately pack a lot of my gear in Ziploc baggies. It helps me to keep my pack organized, but also it is an extra layer of waterproofing. There's this phrase, cotton kills. Cotton robs you of body heat when it gets wet. These are all either synthetic or wool. I prefer wool because you can wear it for a really long time and it tends to not smell as gross as synthetic stuff. So there's that.
All right, we're getting dried foods at a Winco.
Bulk food. Big things people get confused about is what kind of food they should bring. It totally depends on you. I have found what works for me. If I don't bring enough food, I burn all my fat, I lose a ton of weight, and then as soon as my muscle starts to burn, I can tell I'm pretty much exhausted. I never want to be exhausted out there. I'm not going out there for weight loss, I'm going out there to have an adventure. It's really difficult when you're going for a long amount of time to have enough space in your pack for all the food. So I try to bring stuff that's really calorie dense, that packs down, and ideally is lightweight. I love dehydrated meals. I try to always bring a couple just because it's way more exciting to have something delicious like chicken Alfredo pasta when you're out there. I don't go 100% dehydrated meals only because I haven't found any that are dense enough in calories as well as packed down small enough to all fit in my pack. So one of the tricks I found is I get these like pasta pre-made meals and I make sure to put the calories on them. So like that's almost 600 calories. I spice it up by bringing dehydrated vegetables. I dehydrate my own vegetables. Clearly it's the end of the season and I'm running out. I also gather mushrooms or dehydrate my own mushrooms to add those to the meals to make them a little more exciting. I bring dried fruit as well. I've also been known to go kind of crazy with the candy because it's almost like, you know, when you're in the middle of a really tough workout and like food just doesn't sound that appealing. I always bring some candy because it's easy to eat and there's so many calories in it, and that sugar, like, you access it really fast. The other thing I bring a lot of is butter, cheese, and salami. If I was going on a 14-day trip, I'd probably bring 3 pounds of salami, 4 pounds of cheese, and minimum 8 sticks of butter. It's a lot of weight, but it's a lot of calories in a small space as well. It doesn't take up a lot of room. So it's worth having the extra weight. I'll save that in other ways, but those calories are super valuable. I have a really great meal I like to mix up in the mornings that involves half a stick of butter along with a massive amount of salami and cheese.
I swear to God, this is the best breakfast on the planet.
You basically fry it all up, and then when you're done, you get to drink the butter. Sometimes I mix in granola to that extra butter soup. It's quite tasty.
All the grease and the butter. Oh my God.
I make my own jerky and stick it in there. It's like extra salt just in case I really need it. Electrolytes are huge out there, having enough salt. I also have a whole little drink bag and I take coffee, obvious reasons. I also bring tea. I like bringing peppermint tea. Sometimes I even get crazy enough to make some peppermint mocha out there. I'll take my coffee, my tea bag, and some hot chocolate powder, which I also like bringing. Mix it all together and feel really fancy. Woo! I do bring soap out, and I like Dr. Bronner's. It is biodegradable, so not gonna contaminate the environment if I'm bathing in a stream, which is the only option I have. I don't need this whole bar, and that's a lot of weight, so I cut it into smaller pieces. You can't get this confused with your cheese. That's really important. Everything has a bag. I also bring deodorant out there. Kind that I like the best is this weird crystal stick. I also hack that with a machete, so I only take a tiny amount, and it gets its own bag. This is also in my toiletry bag. It's not what it looks like. It's actually tooth powder. I don't like taking an entire tube of toothpaste. I don't even like taking a whole toothbrush. I saw the end off. I need all the weight capacity I can for my butter. I think I need a new toothbrush. This one's looking really sad. Toilet paper and biodegradable wipes, or a combination of both. That all goes in its own Ziploc baggie, which is my little med kit bag. And it's just a bathroom and a kit right there. The way you pack your bag is also important. I have a whole system that I've worked out to make sure that the weight is mostly at the bottom and along my spine. I also don't like strapping things to the outside of my pack unless they're secure. I don't want things like banging around and shifting my weight. I pack things that I might need on the outside in these bat wings. So I usually start out with my sleeping bag being the item that is at the very bottom, that's closest to my spine. It's really dense, it's packed down, it's heavy, and I'm not gonna need it until I get to camp and dump my whole bag out anyway, so that goes first. My tarp is also pretty dense, so I shove it down there. So my food bag is also very heavy and it's pretty large. So I put that in right on top of my sleeping bag. I like using a waterproof container. I know that no food odors are gonna get on my sleeping bag. That's really important, especially if I'm in grizzly country. All right, so that's in there, but it's really awkward. It's not very symmetrically shaped. So now I pack clothing in around that to fill up the space to make sure I'm utilizing all the little corners of my pack. These go in a side pouch, and I have it above my oh shit bag because that headlamp is something I want to access in case it gets dark. So it's kind of near the top. If I'm running out of space, I will put something in my stainless steel pot. And then I always save something to kind of fill up the last bit of extra room. The last thing I do is make sure everything is tightened down, and you want to do this on any pack. It's just like the tighter, the more solid that pack is, the easier it's going to be to carry. And there it is, ready to go. When I find a spot close to where I want to camp, I'll drop my bag, remember where I left it, but scout around in the general area for a good spot. Basically looking for something that's flat, that does not have any massive widowmakers or dead trees that are about to fall and crush me when I'm sleeping. And ideally, really close to water, where I'll be getting my water source from.
My water bottle has so much life in it. Swim, little buddies.
These two trees is a good spot to put my tarp. There's nothing overhead that's gonna fall on me, and it's about as flat as it gets for the backcountry. I strip the dry bag off so that I have my day pack ready to go. And I actually use this to prop up my tarp setup when I'm sleeping in it. I usually use antlers for this. That way, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I see antlers.
I'm just starting to set up camp, and I feel like this is like a trap or a trick or something. Would you look at that?
When I leave camp for the day, I take my sleeping bag and I stick it in my dry bag just to make sure that it's not gonna get wet in case rain starts coming here sideways with some crazy storm. I also take my dry bag and I put it on top of my sleeping pad. That way it doesn't blow away. When I'm leaving for the day, I grab my day pack, and inside of it I just have water, rain gear, oh shit bag, and I set it back up when I get back to camp.
Never leave your food in the tent unless you like uninvited guests. Use bear hangs. Black bears are basically circus acrobats, so there's no guarantees, but don't give them an easy meal, at least make them work for it.
I bring about 30 feet of rope for my bear hang. Should be about 200 plus feet away from camp. In grizzly country, I tend to up the plus on that. And I'm terrible at throwing, so this is always the hardest part of setting up camp. I use a simple clove hitch because I find if I need to pull it out, you don't want to secure it so well that if it gets caught somewhere you don't want it, you can't get your rope back. Try 1 of 500. Not even close. That's the one I was aiming for, I swear. I'm serious, I'm not even aiming anywhere near there. That's it. I'm telling you, I'm the worst throw in the world. Tie a quick bowline on this end. All right, camp's good. This is a really good spot for fire. I try to have my fire pit away from any big trees if it is in the middle of the winter or really rainy. The reason is that tree roots can actually catch on fire underground, and even though you don't see any fires when you leave, that fire could be moving through the root system and could potentially ignite when you leave. Really important to make a round fire ring so that it aesthetically looks nice. I also don't want to be below any big boughs on any trees that could potentially also light. Perfect. This is my backcountry camp setup. Feel free to poach and use any of my ideas or change whatever ones you feel like are gonna work better for you. I just hope it doesn't take you 15 years to find the perfect setup like it did for me. Have fun. Careful to not let your sack drop too fast.